Hello, writers. I want to tell you a story, so come in close. Grab a partner, whether that be your pet or a stuffed animal, because the story I'm going to tell you can be a little bit scary. So, there was this one time in this book where two children were walking to school. They turned the corner and they saw the end. Wouldn't it be mean if I ended the story just like that? Well, you would want to know what happens next, right? I want to know what happens next. So writers, today I want to teach you that readers love satisfying endings. One way writers create those satisfying endings for their readers is by telling what happens to their character at the end of the story. This makes their readers happy. Writers, I'm going to continue writing our story, The Adventures of Mrs. Hershey. I'm going to share the way this story ends. Now, I can't see you, but I want you to give yourself a big thumbs up if you think my ending is good when I read it, okay? And thumbs down if you think I should revise it. Are you ready? Okay. So here we go. The Adventures of Mrs. Hershey. One beautiful day, Mrs. Hershey was teaching in her classroom with her 6 students. Their names were Megan, Arthur, Andrew, Piper, Susie, and Max. While Mrs. Hershey was teaching, she heard a noise coming from behind the plant. What is that? She thought. She knelt down by the plant. It was a fierce bird. Mrs. Hershey felt afraid. Arthur noticed that something was behind the plant. Mrs. Hershey looked at Arthur and thought, I'll be brave. She scooped up the bird and brought it outside so it could be safe. I have one more page, friends. Now, if I had to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to whether I think this ending right here was good, honestly, I would have to give it a thumbs down. Because how do I know what happens when she gets outside? What if the bird goes back into the school? What if the bird doesn't want to go away? What if the bird, I don't know, we need to come up with an ending. So she brought the bird outside so it could be safe. I think what I'm going to do is I am going to say, when Mrs. Hershey got outside, comma, she let the bird go. And it flew with its family. That would be a good ending, right? And it flew up to meet its family. And now my story is finished. That was a really good story. So friends, now it's going to be your turn to create a story. Just a reminder that when you are writing endings for your stories, make the readers happy. Write a solution. Get your characters out of trouble. We got our character out of trouble. Mrs. Hershey brought the bird back outside, and the bird joined its family. Everything you learned about bringing stories to life in our first unit of writing, Small Moments, works for when you want to stretch out the ending of your story too. Remember, when you learn to make people talk or move and try to feel and think, that's really good. Adding dialogue, adding the quotation marks around words that people are saying, that's really important. Or adding bubbles around, just like I did right here, when the bird said, cheep, cheep, You could do that too. Now, boys and girls, you can add action by telling what your character did, dialogue, like we just said, by what they're saying, and feelings by telling how the character felt. In our story, we wrote that Mrs. Hershey felt afraid, and then she thought to herself, I am going to be brave for my students. So right now, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be getting with a partner. Remember, that partner can be a parent, it can be a sibling, it can be a stuffed animal, or it could be your pet. And you're going to figure out an ending for one of your stories. Make sure, let's give this a chance, okay? There's not just one way to end a story. There are so many different ways that you can end a story. So, boys and girls, today and forever when you write, remember that writers can always go back into their stories and work on their endings. You can get your character out of trouble. If you use action, like what they're doing, dialogue, what they're saying with quotation marks, and feelings, it can help you really stretch out that word, stretch out what's going on in the story. You can always go back to your stories and add more and more and more detail. That's called elaborating on them, adding so much detail that your story gets great. Even when you thought you were finished, you're not. Keep adding more. So, let's take a look at this chart to help us. Ways to bring stories to life. Unfreeze people. Make them move. Make them talk. Don't just have them be stick people because we don't know what they're doing. Just like in John's story right here, he has speech bubbles. And here, tell small steps, how things happen. Don't tell me really something big, but look at this. For example, like John went up the ladder, he got to the top, and he slid down the slide. That's so good. Instead of saying he slid down the slide, tell me the small steps that it took to get there. And bring out the inside. Make people feel and make people think. That's really important. Today, boys and girls, you're going to do just that. You can either work on a new story or work on one that you're still working on to elaborate or add more details to that one to make it a satisfying ending. Friends, have fun writing and let's do great work. Bye, friends.